continue.
All right, just giving a few seconds here as everybody makes their way into the webinar. We'll start here shortly. Still see a few people joining, so just a few more seconds. Okay, looks like we will go ahead and get started then. Welcome everyone. This is the webinar, Attract New Members with Outdoor Fitness Spaces, sponsored by KOMPAN. Today's presenters are Morten Zacko, Rob Boogsman, and Carrie Binder of KOMPAN. If you have any questions during their chat, please send those through in the Q&A section, and we should have time at the end to answer them. Morten, Rob, and Carrie, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. Yes, and thank you for participating in this webinar here. We were just presented, all of us, but I can say my role is I'm Senior Manager of the KOMPAN Fitness Institute. And you, Rob, what are you? You're muted.
Just muted, but I'm the fitness concept director, so I'm responsible for everything we do within fitness within KOMPAN.
Yeah. And I'm a key account manager, so I work directly with customers here in the US, specifically in the Western region.
Yeah, and Carrie, maybe you can give the brief introduction to what KOMPAN is for a kind of a company.
Absolutely, sure. So KOMPAN is truly a global provider of play and outdoor fitness equipment. We create and have been creating happier and healthier communities around the world for over 50 years now. You can see our global headquarters is there in Odense, Denmark, and we've also got an office here in the US in Austin. Mostly KOMPAN is known for impressive playgrounds like this amazing one you see in Australia that we recently opened. But today we're mostly going to be focusing on fitness. And here you can see a YMCA playground that we installed in 2021. We actually do a lot of work with community recreation and YMCAs and the like.
Yeah, great, Carrie, thanks. And as you just said, today is focused very much on fitness, outdoor fitness. And we have three main topics for you today. The first one is status on outdoor fitness equipment. And there's a good reason for us to devoting a chapter to that, because so much has happened in terms of the development and the standards of outdoor fitness equipment. So that's important. And then we will also cover some of the specific benefits there are to having outdoor fitness equipment, especially compared to indoor fitness. And then at the end of the webinar, we will go through different types of solutions for outdoor fitness concepts, depending on what user group you're targeting and how much space and resources available. So that's the three main topics that we're going through here. And let's dive right into it and look at status on outdoor fitness equipment. And as I said, a lot of things has happened. KOMPAN is a company that has been developing playgrounds since 1970. And in 2008, we also started having outdoor fitness equipment. And then over the years, a lot of development has happened for us and for other outdoor fitness companies. And one of the things that we have done a lot is to put, science and really doing measurements, testing that our equipment really works. So all of that development had happened over the years, different types of equipment coming out, cardio, strength, fitness equipment for elderly, strength training equipment. But the point of showing this here is that it's fair to compare it actually with phones. So in 2008, the phone you wanted was a BlackBerry, and today a smartphone is something completely different. More or less the same type of development has happened to outdoor fitness equipment. And if we compare equipment as it looked like, let's say 10, 15 years ago, so you have on the left side, you have a cross trainer or elliptical trainer, and on the right side, you have a modern type of the same piece of equipment. And some of the things that have happened is that today it's possible to have adjustable resistance. And actually in this cross trainer here, the resistance go all the way down from 15 watts, 25 watts up to 750 watts. So that's, the workload adequate for the very weak all the way up to the top athlete. And that can be adjusted from a touch screen. So it's very user friendly. And then a ton of things have happened with ergonomics and the design, of course, but also things like creating motivation for the user. So you can connect via Bluetooth, you can connect your smartphone, and you can log into third-party apps like the very popular Swift, where you can compete against others in a virtual community. So it's a huge difference. And to be honest, the old style of cross trainer, and you're still seeing it being installed, that type of equipment. But the thing is, you don't get very much exercise value from using it, at least not compared to when you have a modern type. And also it's important to say that the modern type is totally up to or equivalent to the best of indoor fitness equipment. And again, it's not just something that we're claiming, and we are actually measuring it. We take our equipment to the lab facilities. We work together with universities. So we really tested that, we test maximum oxygen uptake, we measure muscle activity and all those kind of things. So for instance, as an example, we could measure that you could reach on this cross trainer here, you could reach 90% of the value that our test person could reach on an incremental treadmill test, which is considered the hardest thing you can do. So really it covers all the way from low to high. And we have a white paper available from our website if you want to read more about the science behind this type of equipment. So, but all in all, it's important to say that there is a new standard for outdoor fitness. And some of the important things about this upgrade of quality is that it attracts more types of users, and especially is attractive for untrained, maybe people who have no prior knowledge of exercise, who don't have any skills at all. So this type of equipment it's not intimidating in any way. People are not afraid of going up to the equipment, start using it and embarrassing themselves, because it's very obvious. They already know how to use it, and everybody can get the workload that's just right for them. So that's really important when we are targeting those user groups that actually really need exercise the most. On the left side here on the pictures, you have an example of the cross trainer I just showed, or the elliptical trainer, and then you have an arm bike. And for instance, the arm bike, you can see this guy here is using it from the seat. But if you're a wheelchair user, you can drive in from the opposite side and then use it from your wheelchair. So it's also quite versatile in that manner. And here on the right side, you have selectorized strength training equipment that works just as indoor equipment with a weight stack inside the box, and actually with some user-friendly improvements, because you can select the weight by turning a handle instead of moving the pin. So very user-friendly and very effective and easy to use. And that brings us to, again, when you're designing solutions for different user groups, then you should be aware that outdoor fitness equipment is not just one category. You can choose from a variety of different types of equipment, and then put together a recipe that fits just to those people that you want to engage in exercise. So on the left side of this illustration here, you have what we call street workout, stuff that is very much based on body weight workout. It's great exercise, but it also requires you to know how you do different exercises, and also requires a certain level of skills. So it's very attractive for young people who are used to exercising. We have often seen that this type of equipment has been used as a general installation for all user types, and that really doesn't work very well. So for instance, if you look at in the green category in the middle, you have these cardio products and selectorized strength training equipment and functional training equipment that in some way helps you understand what you need to do and makes it easy to exercise. So that's what we call it, equipment that fits everybody. And then if you go all the way to the right, we have equipment that are specifically targeted seniors, equipment that is targeted fall prevention, balance, and mobility. And we will get back to that later in this webinar and also show you a solution that could be considered the optimal installation for seniors. So just be aware that, you know, it's important to choose equipment according to what type of users you want to engage. So continue in that line, for the users, what they get out of it by exercising outdoors, and also what the community gets out of it. And if we start off what this community gets out of it, what the social benefits are, then depending on if there's any fees or anything associated with a membership for joining an outdoor area, if there is, or it's free, you know, in most cases it's anyway, it's much cheaper than indoor fitness. In that sense, it becomes more attractive or more available to lower income groups. And we also know that it's often the lower income groups that needs exercise, have more health problems, needs exercise more. So it's often possible to create either free or very low membership cost installations that attracts those user groups as well. For any given community, if they have an outdoor installation, we see it worldwide that becomes a place where people, they gather and they really get a social effect out of exercising together outdoors. It seems to be more social engaging than typical indoor fitness installations. And also the way that the equipment is designed, it's easy, accessible for everyone, and it's friendly to use. The design is friendly, also if you don't have any skills. And then a final bonus effect of having an outdoor fitness installation, for instance, nearby a recreation center, is that it creates attention and it creates curiosity. People passing by and seeing people like themselves exercising outdoors and having fun, and it creates identification and it creates that curiosity that could attract new members. On the health side of it, then of course you get all the same benefits from exercising outdoors as you get from exercising indoors. But on top of that, you also get the benefits of being exposed to natural daylight. And that is actually very important for a number of functions in your body. It's very important for having an optimal sleep pattern. So you're awake during the day and you sleep with a high quality sleep during the night. It's also important for mood regulation, and what has been also very important here during the COVID crisis, it's important for immune function, that you are exposed to a certain amount of sunlight regularly. And moving on to that, there has been a huge interest for creating outdoor exercise solutions here during the COVID crisis for a number of reasons, but very much because it is so much safer exercising outdoors in terms of the risk of getting infections. Studies have shown that it's about 20 times lower risk for being infected outdoors compared to indoors. And that number, stays even no matter what happens with mutations and other things, the difference between indoors and outdoors will still be there. And it has very much to do with that there's an infinite amount of air when you're outdoors. And also, virus has very hard time surviving on the surfaces outdoors due to the different temperatures and humidity and exposure to sunlight. So that's a real driver for this strong interest for creating outdoor exercise solutions. And that interest will continue moving on for years is the
Morten,
concern. Yeah.
I have a question on that, because
Yes.
I get a lot of, one of the reasons that, you know, people want to have outdoor fitness is exactly like you said, it's much safer, but we get a lot of questions about the need to sanitize equipment.
Yeah.
Is that needed? Because there's just a lot of things unknown about that, or people don't really.
The thing is that virus is only able to survive in an infectable way for a few minutes in the outdoor environment. If there's absolutely no chance, and this is based on studies actually where they looked at hospital wards and other things where patients with COVID-19 were hospitalized, and they swapped surfaces and they looked at if they could keep virus alive, and they compared to outdoor conditions and things like that. So the study's looking at it, but there's no way that virus could survive from one day to the next. There's very little risk that any virus could survive for more than a few minutes in the outdoor environment on a surface. So there is no point in doing extra sanitizing there. For instance, like having a weekly cleaning. It's a good idea just for, you know, cleaning purposes. You can do that, but it has no effect on the virus.
No. So just personal hygiene, of course, washing your hands,
Yeah.
and bringing a towel. That's sufficient.
Exactly. Yeah. It's all the same rules that are for persons in other environments where you do that stuff, but no need for doing anything extra. And for the users, or for the community, as you can say, for society, it's also important that when people exercise, it means that healthcare costs are reduced. And one study estimated this reduction in cost to be around $800 per person per year for each jump in activity category. So if you have one person that goes from being insufficiently active to be just moderately active, then it's associated with that reduction in cost. So if 500 users were getting more active by just one category jump, that would mean an estimated reduction in healthcare cost of about $400,000 per year. So it's quite substantial, just using average numbers. Being well aware that money doesn't come and go from the same boxes, but still seen from a society perspective, it makes good sense to make exercise available to people. But another aspect of it is also that if people are untrained, they experience more disease and have more accidents. And one of the absolutely most major problems for seniors, for people above the age of 65, is falls. And as it says here on this infographic here, that falls represent the most frequent and serious type of accidents for people over the age of 65. And on average, 1 in 3 persons above that age will have a serious fall every year. And if you go to above the age of 80, it's about 50% of all persons above 80 will have a serious fall every year. Of course, there's cost involved with that. It's in the US, it's about $50 billion per year associated with cost for falls. But that's just one thing. The other thing, and I'm quite sure that all of you here listening have a personal story with somebody you know who was an elderly person doing well, and then they experienced a fall, and then all of a sudden everything went south, and it was very difficult for that person to get back into a healthy shape again. So we all know these stories. So in that sense, it's also a huge problem for people's elderly people's quality of life. But the positive story here is that risk of falling, that can easily be reduced. Studies show that it can be reduced with about 30% by doing regular exercise. So here it's just the headlines for a number of scientific studies, and also the conclusion from Center for Disease Control, where they all conclude this here. So by doing exercises, as shown here on the right panel, doing that on a regular basis, you can, as an elderly person, you can decrease your risk for falling by about 30%. So that's reduction in cost, but it's very much also a reduction in human suffering by doing a thing like this. So there's good reason that we are coming back to also showing you a solution for elderly persons or for seniors a bit later. So, and if you want to read more about that, we also have a white paper from our website where you can read about active aging fitness and what it does for of benefits and fall reduction risk. So with that said, that introduction, we looked at equipment, what has happened over the years. We looked at some of the benefits from the use for the users and for the community or society. I think it's time to look at some examples on how you can target different user groups. And Carrie, you have picked some examples for us. So let's start with the first one. No,
well,
Rob, sorry.
Rob's going to cover this, yeah.
I think,
Rob,
yeah, I would like to take this one because I actually, I've been very much involved in designing this one, activating it, and also doing research on this one. So, and it's also a fun story to tell because this, I would say, is one of the most successful outdoor spaces that I know in the US, where you really can see what an outdoor space can have as an effect on a community. So it's in Stuytown, New York. So that's downtown Manhattan. And it's Stuytown is an interesting area because there's around 25,000 people living there, renting apartments. And it's an area that was created in the 60s when they needed to create affordable housing for the troops. So they created this 12-story high red brick buildings and a lot of green areas in between. And that area developed, and now I think a few years ago, 5-6 years ago, it was bought by a big developer, and they started to upgrade the whole area. And one of the things they did was they actually looked for the playgrounds, but also they identified this hockey court, which was very poorly used. And they started asking around, okay, what do you want as people living here? And they got the request, okay, we would like to have a training facility. And we were lucky enough to start working with them, and together with Star Whitehouse, landscape architect, we created a fitness area, which, well, you can see here in the photos. It's, as mentioned, as big as a hockey field, and it has different training spaces. So there's a functional training space, there is a cardio space, there is a strength training area, but also a running track around and a sprint track in the middle. So it has all the same functionalities as people will know and recognize from an indoor fitness facility. The area is gated in, and if you are residents of the area, then you can use your key card to actually get access to the training facility. And after 3 months, we actually went there to see, okay, who is using it, why are they using it, how are they using it, and we actually did some surveys for a week. And the interesting findings were that we actually saw that 28% of all the residents, they had used it or were using it more than once a month. So that actually means that there's around 7,000 people that actually use that area once in a while. If you looked into that group, we could actually see that all age groups were represented, and the seniors were actually represented with almost 20%. So 20% of the users were seniors. And if we look to the indoor training facilities that were also on the same premises, we could actually see that there the senior usage was only 3 to 5%. So one thing that was very interesting was to see that seniors were much more comfortable to go to the outdoor training areas. Another thing was interesting was to see that 27% of the people using the site, they actually considered themselves to be inactive, meaning that they hadn't done any kind of exercise for the last 2 years. So that is a huge effect. You know, if you can activate 27% of the inactive people, and then you look at the numbers that Morten just presented, then the value of a site like this is incredible. But of course, as mentioned, the value is not only in money, the value is definitely also what it does to the community. And one thing that I remember of the interviews was that, you know, people just enjoyed going to this space. They just enjoyed being there and meeting the neighbors. And that whole part was super important, because we also asked him, okay, how did you know about this site and what attracted you to this site? And most people actually said, well, okay, I saw it by walking by, or my neighbor told me. My neighbor was the one, they went and he said, did you know that new fitness? I've been there, you need to come with me. So that was, I think, one of the great things that we could actually learn from this site, that, you know, if you do it right, if you create a site, you do a proper investment, you have something that really works, then people will, you know, they will go to it and they will start attracting the people in the neighborhood, and they will make it into a success. So yeah, definitely a good story to tell.
Yeah, and to add to that, Rob, yeah, I think the number you mentioned with the 27% being previously inactive, it's also something we have experienced from other bigger sites, that outdoor fitness attracts a number of people who for some reason would not choose indoor fitness, that they have something against it, where they have decided that's not for them. But all of a sudden, by being able to exercise outdoors, they find that type solution attractive. So I think that's very interesting that we're seeing this. About engaging the users, Rob, I think you also have a story on this here.
Yeah, this is also one that I wanted to show. This is a site in Tampa, Florida. It's in a public park, but it was created in collaboration with the local CrossFit community. So it's a co-investment with the CrossFit community and the city. And what happened is that I don't know exactly what the break was, but what happened was that the CrossFit organization, they actually had the right to do trainings there, and they were the only one who had the official right to do trainings, but they didn't have the right to exclude people. So they could use it to give classes, but it was still a public domain. So if people wanted to join, or if people wanted to do their own exercises, people could actually do that. But they had no issues with that, because what they actually saw was by being there and by being present, it actually, again, attracted a whole lot of people that didn't come to their indoor facilities. So by being outdoors, it was for them, it was a very easy way to actually get new members, because people were training there anyway, and they just invited them. Okay, do you want to do it with us? We can give you some instructions, and that was, you know, a very, very easy way to attract new people. And I like the idea that you know, by having organizations who do training actually collaborating with people who have the public domain, that we actually see these collaborations, that it makes fitness available for lots and lots of people.
Yeah. So, but now on to some more examples, Carrie.
Thanks, Rob. Those were some great examples of like true case studies and you know, KOMPAN in use in different places. And now we've got some other samples and designs that we've put together. This is a great general use site. So you can see it's quite large, quite spacious, with lots of different areas. And it's a good combination of both play and fitness. You can see we actually have some youth sports in the back. And that's another thing that KOMPAN also does provide. I don't think we covered it or showed it before this, but we make these multi-use sports areas or multi-use games areas. So you can set that up for your youth off to the side in the field. You've got obviously the play area here in the sand. And then we've got several different fitness areas in these different quadrants all around. So on the kind of front left, it's more functional training. You can see a couple of bikes along with some strength training with our mag bells and suspension trainers, some things that are very easy to use. There's some instructions for people that might not intuitively know what to do, but they're very simple to use. Across the way on the other side of the path, you can see we've got this body weight training area with some sort of agility ladders and stencils on the ground, giving people some options both on and off of the equipment. And as Morten and Rob both alluded to, these are going to attract maybe your younger, more you know, advanced users, or people that are comfortable and confident getting out there and doing things on their own and don't need any you know, assistance or placards or instructions to help them. You know, in the back here, you've got some plyo jumps, and these can be used for lots of different exercises. And then, as you can see here in the back, you've got kind of a platform with some cardio pieces set up, and a couple things that are nice about that. Obviously, you've got a dedicated area for people to get their cardio exercise on. You've even got a class set up with an instructor in the front, but it's also positioned in a way that if you've got adults or parents there, they can also be sort of overseeing what's happening in the playground, or if their kids are over here playing sports, they can kind of keep an eye on the kids. So when you're designing a general use site with all age groups in mind, including children, it's good to factor those things in and think of the parents and the children, as well as the different activities and user groups and fitness. And here we've got another kind of mixed solution, a little smaller space. But as you can see, this area provides a ton of options and diversity. This is actually something that we designed for a US Air Base in Germany. And so you can see in the front, we've got the fitness area. People can do some sprints across the front. Again, you've got some stenciling on the ground for different agility and functional things without any equipment. And then you've got your body weight training exercises, kind of street workout here for your younger group and just people that are feeling more able to exercise on their own. Over here on the right side, we've got functional training and kind of for that everybody use. And then along the back row, if you can see it, there's some cardio pieces lined up. So several bikes and a couple of ellipticals back there, which is nicely separated from the play area. You'll see there's kind of a pathway in between separating the two zones and some bushes, but parents or anyone sitting on those bikes can potentially see what's happening on the playground. So they could send their kids over to play safely and then be watching them from afar, while they're doing their exercise. And also, showing the kids that parents are important too. And there's, everybody's getting their workout and having fun at the same time. It's not just kids playing and the parents sitting on the sidelines.
No, and we can actually say this is by popular request having designs like this, because it's the number of times that parents have suggested this to us is countless. Yeah, as you say, Carrie, they normally sit on a bench, but they really don't want to. They rather would be active and, as you say, show to the kids that it's good to be active. So it's it's a very popular way of designing it with cardio overviewing playgrounds.
Absolutely.
So it's and here's yet another example, Carrie.
Yeah, this is one of my personal favorites. I love this design. So we call this the indoor-outdoor space. So you can see you've got a nice modern building. Obviously, there's going to be some indoor fitness most likely in there, but it's very welcoming and inviting, not only to people on the outside, welcoming people to come join in this very non-intimidating outdoor fitness space, but I would imagine people on the other side of those glass windows inside are going to be looking out on that thinking, I want to be out there because It just looks so inviting. So on the right side, you've got kind of, I think this is more of a Zen space with a yoga spot in the middle, people doing yoga and or stretching, just kind of an open area for those sorts of free-form exercise to happen. You've got some cardio pieces sort of surrounding that on the side and behind the yoga area. And then over on the other side, you've got some strength pieces as well. So this area will probably tend to attract a little more mature audience. It's going to be a little quieter over here. And then if you go to the other side of the staircase, we've got more kind of a CrossFit style or, heavy lifting and some functional weight training stuff. This is going to attract a totally different demographic than you're going to have on the other side of the stairs, and gives people their own sort of space to do what they want to do with, their types of workout folks. And then again, it's kind of separated by a walkway. Across the way, you've got some other types of equipment for body weight training and functional training. You can do HIIT workouts over here. People can work out either together or independently and, have their own space. And you can see they're already thinking ahead by creating a rooftop there. I can envision phase 2 where they might be installing some nice equipment on that deck or rooftop that would be kind of overseeing the entire area. So yeah, it gives you tons of options along with the running track surrounding and just nice greenery and open space all around.
Yeah, it's a super nice solutions. I would also, I would go outside instead of inside to do my fitness if I had this possibility here.
100%.
The next one, this is a very, very focused solution. What is this good for, Carrie?
Very focused. Yeah, extremely compact, as you can see. Like the American saying, big things come in small packages. That's what I think of when I look at this. So you've got, and this could be poolside, this could be really anywhere outside. You just need a small open space, and you can put in a circuit type workout, which is extremely popular, in indoor fitness, and would go just as well outside. In fact, even more so, because it's a very non-intimidating type of workout. There's no barriers to entry. As you can see, this is all cardio equipment and strength equipment that is extremely intuitive. It's the type of equipment that needs no instruction, no signage. It's really get on, adjust the weight or the resistance for yourself and go. And so anybody can truly work out here, from people who are transitioning from indoor fitness. Anyone who's ever been inside of a gym has seen equipment that looks just like this. Functionally, this is every bit as good as indoor exercise equipment, but it's created, of course, for the outdoors, and very effective, and just provides a great workout, of course, with the benefits of being in the outdoors and all the things that the outdoors provides as well.
Yeah, and as we talked about in the beginning, targeting those who really needs to do exercise. And it's also the reason for why this is so popular in indoor fitness, because it does not require you to be able to do anything special. You don't need to do pull-ups, push-ups, burpees, or anything complicated. It's just plain simple, effective exercise. And that's why it is so popular. And it's also very time efficient, because it's set up for this circuit type of training. So you simply have a set amount of minutes, you get in there, you just do your thing, and then you're done, and you've done something good for your body.
Yep, and I think that's the way that it works, right? And that's what makes this interesting. Also, from a club perspective, you will have people in for 45 minutes. They do 2 times 10 minutes cardio, 3 times 7 minutes of 7 times 3 minutes on the strength, and they've done a workout that they jump in the pool, and after an hour they're gone, and you have the whole circus again. But that's but they've done something real. And if you look to the space that you need, this is around 1,600 square feet. So it's not a lot of use of space that you need to have. And investment-wise, is also, this is, I guess it will be full with everything installed and everything. It will be around $120,000. That would be my guess. So, those are things that actually, it's quite comprehensive. You can actually oversee these kind of things. But it has going to have a huge effect on the users.
Yeah. So as I said in the beginning, we want to get back to also showing you, what we would call the perfect solution for active agers. And just to sum up with the choice of equipment for creating such a solution, you would put in stuff that gives you the basic physiological things you need from exercise. That is cardio, and that is strength. That can be from the strength machines, or it can be functional strength. So that's the basis, like actually for everybody. But then on top of that, you want to add some specific items that targets fall prevention, balance, and mobility. So for instance, if you take on the right panel, the top item here, that something we call the surface challenge, and it mimics all the challenges that often make elderly people fall in urban or natural environments. So having the ability to train those against those obstacles is very useful. So, but the solution as such, Carrie, could look like this here.
Yeah, I think that is really kind of an optimal looking site for seniors, for lots of reasons. I mean, as you said, fall prevention is key when you're working with the active aging market. So we've got several pieces that target that and really work on flexibility and mobility and balance with their surface challenge and steps, also providing that handrail for some extra safety and security, which is important when you're working with seniors. You've got some more of those types of pieces sort of in the back of the left side. But in addition to fall prevention, to provide truly a full picture and full spectrum of health and wellness, you want to always factor in cardiovascular fitness, which we're doing here with the bike and the upper body ergometer or arm bike. So you're working on keeping a very strong heart. As people age, that's extremely important. And then we've got some strength pieces in the back as well, targeting those major muscle groups. So keeping those muscles and the bones strong, doing weight bearing exercises is really important as we age as well for bone health. So really, those three components are going to provide the full optimal site for seniors and active aging.
Yeah, it's from a physiological point of view, I don't think it can be done any better than this year for creating that facility. But it's maybe for some cases an ambitious layout. And what we have experienced is that there's often a request for smaller sites for active agers. And such a smaller site could look like this year, where we've just taken a few of the most significant exercise items, a smaller version of the surface challenge, the stairs, the bike, the arm bike, and some mobility and balance, a few mobility and balance items. And the reason for the request for these smaller sites is, for some, depending on age, but for some, it's more, easy to overview it and not be overwhelmed by the options you have when the site is smaller. That could be one reason for it, but also very important, it allows for proximity. So you can place more sites closer to where people are actually living, so they don't have a long distance to travel to get to their routine exercises outdoors. So that's some of the reasons for the request for smaller sites. And we also see it for senior homes, and you see in the bottom right picture there, an elderly lady, she's about 90, from Sweden actually, and she goes there every week and does her fall prevention exercises and really enjoys it. So there's good reasons for make exercise facilities for the seniors, and there are many ways of doing it. So, but we're getting to the end of the solutions that we want to share with you. And one thing that we're really trying to do every time is to think about creating spaces for people, to create spaces where you enjoy going, where you can be social, and if everything is at its best, it's places also where the whole family can go and do things together, be active, but also be social. So you can go there and you can hang out before, hang out after, or maybe just relax there while other family members are being active. So, and Rob, you have worked a lot with some quite ambitious solutions targeting just that atmosphere, and you have one example here.
Yeah, we there's plenty of examples that we have, but this is one that it's very clear to see what we're trying to do. One of the trends that we see is that we see these big type of sites. So this is 20,000 square feet, around 20,000 square feet. And this is actually a site which is going to be gated in. So it's a members only area. And what you can see here is that one thing that we see is that it has these different areas, and those areas are more or less the layout of what you can also see in a modern gym. So you have in the blue your cardio space, in the orange there you have your selectorized strength training space, in the light brown it's a cork floor, which is your area to do yoga classes or any kinds of group classes with a big screen so that you can actually have online classes. Then there's a street workout area, and to the left your CrossFit area. Running track around, obstacle course around. But then the big thing you also see is that there's a massive playground. So it's, I would say 1/3 of the area is actually a playground connected to this social space. There's a bar where you can get a cup of coffee, where you can get a smoothie, where you can actually, get something to drink and sit. And this is really created to attract families. That's the core audience. We want to have families here with the grandparents. And they just need to see this as kind of a destination. You go there on a Sunday morning, not to just do your workout, but you go there to do your workout, to meet your friends, to have your kids enjoy a really nice playground, and to drink a cup of coffee afterwards. So it's not about just going there, getting your fix and go out again. No, this is really about meeting people, being amongst friends, and really slowing down and taking the time to actually enjoy each other. And that is a trend that we're seeing. And what is really interesting about this is if you do it in the outdoors, it has this benefit that it's easy for people to go to, and it's a nice surrounding to actually go to, instead of being indoors again, like most of people are the whole day throughout the week. They're working indoor, we're traveling indoor, we're living indoors. So the outdoors has so many benefits. And then if you look from a cost perspective, if you want to create an indoor training facility of this size, you will be spending twice the money, not only on making it, but you will also be spending twice the money in maintaining it. So there's so many benefits in moving training to the outdoors. And I'm really happy with, of course, that's what I've been doing for so many years, but it's great that we are going so big, because it will have a massive attraction. And of course, it's a huge investment that you need to do, but it will pay itself back many, many times. And I think it's a great development. Yeah.
Yeah, it's super nice. And I don't think we've met anybody who didn't say that they would like to go to such a place with their family. It's a spontaneous reaction we get from everybody.
Yep.
So that was the last solution we had for you. We have time now for some questions. See what there's in the chat, but I'll just finally bring up Carrie's mail here. So if you want to get in contact with KOMPAN, then please write to Carrie, Carbin at kompan.com. Yeah, but let's see what's in the chat for questions. I will stop sharing my screen here.
Yeah, thank you all so much. What an excellent presentation. Looks like we did have a question in the chat, so I'll go ahead and read that off to you all. So looks like it was a question pertaining to the maintenance for the different types of equipment. So they said, looks like some pieces have some moving parts, and if there are any suggestions, maybe for prevention of the digital screen being vandalized, any kind of advice on that?
Shall I take that one?
Yeah,
because maintenance question is a lot that we get, if you look to outdoor fitness equipment and if you start comparing it to indoor, there's a huge difference, because if you create stuff for the outdoors, which is also there in an unsupervised way, you need to make things in a different way. So that also means that the type of materials that we use are much more durable than what you normally would see in an indoor. And that has as a positive effect that the maintenance is also much lower. So yes, we have moving parts, but most of those moving parts are either from stainless steel or they're from aluminum. So even if they wear or tear a little bit, it will not have a negative effect on the way it looks and also not on the function. So for most of if you look to the static equipment, that needs to be inspected every year, checked if all the bolts are still tightened and all of that, and there's no maintenance. The dynamic equipment, that needs to also on a yearly basis need to be inspected, and then we actually always advise to change the bearings, or to at least have some the really wear and tear parts, to change that every year. But comparing to an indoor, it is of course a completely different game, because the maintenance is way less. But then again, if you compare, for example, a cross trainer or an elliptical trainer, an outdoor to an indoor, you will also see that there is a price difference when you need to buy it. So you will earn that back over the years, but your investment will be slightly higher in the beginning.
Awesome, thanks, Rob. There's another question. Looks like, do you all have a brochure for the fitness outdoor and the Stay Fit in Spanish available?
Yeah, just if you can write a mail to Carrie, who is asking that, because we just have a new fitness catalog and it's in the process of being translated now. So that's a matter of a few, I would say 2 or 3 weeks, and then we will have it in Spanish or whatever language you would like. So just mail Carrie and then we can send it to you right away. Of not right away, but when it's done in I think 2 weeks from now. Yeah.
Perfect. And a reminder, all attendees will get a recordings sent of this webinar to them. So if you do need any follow-up information, that will be available. But it looks like those were all the questions that we had. KOMPAN team, did you have anything else that you wanted to add?
Well, there's one question that I know that people always have, and that's about the surfacing. So what do we use for the outdoor from surfacing? Because, you know, if you're going to go outdoors, it's a different thing than indoors. And if you go outdoors, you need to do some groundwork. It needs to be installed because it's a permanent installation. What we often see as the best possible way, actually, of the best flooring, that's either a rubber floor, so something pour in place rubber, because that actually has a really good drainage, and it also has a really nice like kind of a dampening, so it is really great area to work on. And we also see more and more people using cork, which is more environmental friendly, and it actually has the same benefits as the pour in place rubber. So you know, those are 2 of the things that we see most, and otherwise artificial grass. But that's something I know that people always want to know. So Morten, do you have anything?
Yeah, it was just, aside from the chat, we also have a Q&A function here, and there was actually 2 questions there. So to be fair to our participants, and one question was regarding the QR codes and instructions and how to exercise, if we update that regularly. Yeah, and yes, we do. The QR codes are, you know, just pointers. So we update the material that those QR codes are pointing to. That is updated regularly. So that part is, and then there's also a question from Dania. What's the average lifespan of the equipment if we assume it will be used very frequently? That's you, Rob.
Yeah, that's me. If you look to again the static equipment, then it's 20 years plus. So that's, you install that and you don't have to worry about that. And then for the dynamic equipment, so like for example the cardio equipment, it's I would say 15 years is not an exception. That's normal use. So with intensive users, the cardio equipment should at least go for 15 years. So if you also look to our warranties, then you know, they, compared to indoors, the warranties is very high. So you, on a saddle, you will get a 5-year warranty, stuff like that. So 15 years is something you need to take into account. What we see with a lot of gyms, they actually, if they invest in outdoor fitness, they depreciate it in 10 to 15 years. So that's more or less what they use.
Okay, awesome. Yes, looks like, yeah, we got to those other 2 Q&A questions. I don't see any more coming in. I was trying to give it a few minutes as those last few are sliding in. But I believe that is all that we have today. So once again, I would like to thank you all, Carrie, Morten, and Rob, for your presentation and your beautiful photos.
Yeah, thank you for participating. Yeah.
Thank you all, and thank you, attendees. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.